There we go. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to, this is episode 2 of season 2 of the G.A.W.D Hour Podcast. I am super pumped. I got my go-getter, one of my favorite go-getters, and it's crazy because this is actually the first time that I've had like a conversation outside of social media with her.
Hey, Miss G.A.W.D.
But thank you, baby. Thank you. I'm so excited to have her here, Miss Kendall. Is it Barnard or Bernard?
I just found out a couple years ago it was Barnard.
Okay. Because I want to get it right. And I'm like, well, that's a B-A-R. So I want to make sure I got that thing right.
And Miss Janelle, I was calling myself Bernard, and my father always called me Kendall Barnard. And I was like, Dad, why are you calling me that? He's like, because that's your name. It's Barnard.
So I stand corrected. Thank you very much, Miss Kendall Barnard. And as I said in the description, first of all, she is an around the way girl. She's my favorite type because she's a go-getter. She's not humble with it. Sis knows exactly what she brings to the table. Sis is the table. We have property management maven, entrepreneur, mom, girlfriend is doing it all. She is in motion, and I'm honored to have you here, Kendall. Thank you so much.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Seriously, I wouldn't rather be anywhere but here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Same here. And we made this happen. Like we got off. I don't think we're gonna unsnap no bras or nothing. We like, come on, here we go. Let's do it. So here we go.
Let's do it.
So I'm actually going to start with a quick icebreaker. And I believe it's 10 questions. I believe it's 10. And just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Guilty pleasure.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God, this is bad. I like eating brownie mix.
Do you mix it like cake mix?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you tell me that? You're gonna have me trying that.
So good. So good.
See, I ain't got the figure that you got, Kendall. So
listen, I probably would have a better figure if it wasn't for that guilty pleasure, but we ain't worried about that.
Okay. All righty. Drink of choice, margarita or martini?
Martini.
I knew that. I can see the eye and the pinky and all that.
All that.
If you were stuck on an island, who would you want to be stuck with?
Do I have a choice to be by myself?
See, this is what I'm saying. I know my people. Come on with it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't really want to be stuck with anybody that's going to get on my nerves.
There we go. Okay, my girl. Okay, finish the sentence. I can do all things except.
Fail.
Come on now. Come on, tell the people. What do you regret?
I regret not cutting people off sooner.
Who's your go-to person?
My mama.
Of course. Come on. Shout out to the mamas. Shout
out
to Miss Kim. Come on. Shout out to Miss Kim. Shout out
to Mom.
Hey, Mom. Okay. To know me is to know
that I am not very warm and fuzzy.
My girl. Best advice that you've received to date?
Money softens more blows than a romantic relationship, courtesy of Bonnie Ray Sembley, my grandmother.
God of mercy. Look, that made me cross my leg a little bit tighter. Okay. Worst advice that you received to date?
Marriage is a part of the American dream.
Girl, you're going to make me take my earrings off. So we're going to start right there. Okay. Talk to me more about their response.
So honestly, Miss Janelle, I grew up wanting to be a housewife. Seriously. Wow. And I don't know why I wanted to do that, because it's not like I grew up with that as an example, but I did. I wanted to, not work. I wanted to, kind of live in a house where your man takes care of everything and, all that good stuff. And that's just, it's all a fairy tale, It's not something that as I grew into myself that I realized was my reality. And it's not that I didn't want it to be my reality. And that became a thing for me probably in like 5th grade. So that fantasy was like maybe kindergarten to like 4th grade.
Right.
And so, I think that marriage is important, but a lot of times women, they get their identity through the men that they're
Mm,
with. And I think that it is very important that as women, we identify with who we really are. And it has nothing to do with our partners. Our partners are simply extensions of us and not who we are. So I
that's right.
think that that's very important.
Let me tell you why I absolutely appreciate that comment coming from you. Because you are a person who technically is not single. You are in a relationship, and I feel like society has just created this bubble, or this maybe not a bubble, but this thing that in order to really be considered somebody, you have to be attached to somebody. It's not about, especially as women, it's not about what we got going on, what we're doing, what we're working towards. But what about the man? And you hear that a lot from people who are not in happy relationships.
Mhm.
It's like, well, no, this is, I find happiness in this person, and it's bull for the most part. So I really appreciate that coming from somebody who's not single. That's
Mm-mm.
not what we discussed that.
I think too, a lot of people get caught up in a title,
Mm,
right? So you have women who are successful. There's two ways to look at this. You have a successful woman who says, I don't need a man.
mm,
I'm Miss Independent. Well, Miss Janelle, I don't strive to be Miss Independent,
uh,
honestly.
come on.
And my man tells me all the time, you only a boss at work, because up in here,
Yes, yes, come on, soft light. Come
yeah,
on.
you only a boss up at work. I met my man in Philly, and he is definitely the love of my life, and we're not engaged. One day I hope that we will be, because time's a ticking.
Okay, now.
Um, but again, he's my partner. And with a partner, it is one of those situations where I know that where I'm lacking, he's not, and
Mm,
vice versa. So that's a part of being a boss and a woman, is that you can relinquish some of that control to a person that you can actually be submissive to, and not
come
relinquish being that boss. You don't
on.
have to give up. You don't have to give that up. You
Mm-mm,
don't. You
mm-mm,
truly just don't have to give that part of yourself
mm.
up. And I've learned I don't have to do that with him.
That's
And
right.
that takes a special type of man, because I've been in relationships before that I'm like, sir, whoa, who you talking to?
That's
As a
right.
matter of fact, you sit down. As a matter of fact, get in the back seat, because I'm driving.
There you go. There you go.
This is my car.
That's
So,
right.
this is, these are things that happen as you grow within yourself and realize, and you get, self-esteem, and
Mhm.
you realize your worth. I can be submissive. And being submissive doesn't mean that you having somebody tell you what to do. It's
That's right.
about knowing when to be the boss versus chill. Let me
Absolutely.
stop. Let me be quiet
And do you agree that it takes a lot of, contrary to what people believe, it actually takes a lot of confidence to be submissive?
all day.
Come on now. Where does
All
your where,
day.
what is your confidence rooted in? Have you always just been like that? Wait a minute. With the little ponytails and stuff, or did it take time to develop that?
I think it takes time to develop. Any woman who says that they've always been confident, they're lying. I
That's right.
believe.
That's right.
I don't believe. I be, for me, I think that I had false confidence at
Mm,
one point. I believe that my confidence was rooted in who my dad was,
mm,
who my mom was. Annapolis is small, right?
absolutely.
So you grow up, oh, that's Kim Bernard's daughter, that's Kim Hardesty's daughter, or
Mhm,
whatever. So you have to grow up with that knowledge of who your family is. Like
mhm,
you're so and so, you belong to so and so. So these perceptions of who they are inadvertently follow you, right?
mhm.
So if you don't live up to those perceptions, that could be, a self-esteem killer. Then as
Yeah.
you get older, it's who you have kids with. Oh,
Yeah.
that's such and that's
Good
that's
God.
that's such and such baby mom. All of those things play into a false sense of confidence, a false sense of who you think you are. But
Absolutely.
it's not until you become so tired of a perception that's not your reality that you start to peel back. This is who I am. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. This is what makes me comfortable. And that's when you start to build up that authentic confidence that's really you. And that's when you start to fly.
Come on now. See, I told the people that we needed to take notes. I said it. I don't do no whole bunch of lying. I'm telling you, I already knew the school was going to be in session with this. So let's go back to like the peel back. Like when you realize either you needed to see yourself or like a moment that was pivotal in you seeing yourself. Like, okay, wait a minute, this is who I am. When did that occur for you?
You know what, Miss Janelle? I think it came in several different parts of my life. And in several different parts of my life, it would come and I would either not pay attention to it or I would be in denial about it. Whether it was a relationship, whether it was a friendship, whether it was a job, whether it was, just being tired of being tired, right? And that would come in different, and I'm sure that's with many women, where you look at your life and you say, you know what, this is not where I want it to be. This is not the way that I planned for this to go. I should have been further by now. I should have done this. I would have. All the shoulda, woulda, couldas come in when you sit down and look at everything. But I think I'm gonna talk about the most recent one, because we always come into these aha moments, and it's like,
yes,
oh, I'm going to the gym every day, and I'm only drinking veggie shakes, and then before I'm cutting him off, and then before you know it, y'all, at G.A.W.D Diner sharing a pancake. I don't know. But right before COVID, I was just like right before COVID hadn't even hit yet. I was just in a really, really, I was just in a funk. I was very unhappy. I was discouraged about, the failure of my business, which I had a whole bunch to do with the failure of my business. I take full accountability with that. I was, just kind of just like, flatline with that. I was not happy in my career. I knew I wanted to be further in my career, but the honest truth was I didn't have the confidence at that time to move where I needed to move to. And a lot of that had everything to do with people, places, things, and my mind. So in that time, I actually felt like I was engaging in some spiraling activity. I mean, I was partying, I was having a good old time, or so I thought. I was having a good old time, and a situation actually occurred that needed to occur. It needed to occur, and it opened my eyes up in a way that was life-changing. I disconnected from, some friends a friend, and it needed to happen. And it was something that was so, life changing, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me in hindsight. It was an ultimate change that needed to happen. And during that time, during COVID, where, you're home and you're just trying to figure things out, because I still was just like, this is not working. I don't feel like going into this office. The woman that I was working for was getting on my damn nerves. It just was not, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And I got to a point where I said to my mother, because you asked me who my go-to person was, right? When all crap hit the fan, I went home. I still had my apartment, but when all else fails, I go home to my mama. And I sat on the side of the bed and I said, Mom, I'm tired. And she said, what's wrong? I said, Mom, I can't. If I have to look at Chickapin Round Road, West Street, 97, 50, one more day, I can't take it. I swear to God, I cannot take it. I'm tired. I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired. I cannot. And I was literally physically, I was crying. It was terrible. Okay.
Yeah.
I just said, I can't do this. I want more. I can't stay here. I cannot stay here. And my mom said, okay, just like that.
Mm.
She said, okay, Kendall Ray. That's what she always called me by my full name. Okay, Kendall Ray, go ahead. What do you want to do? I said, well, I want to make a whole bunch of money. Because honestly, at the time when I was back home, I wouldn't have ever imagined this. I just
Mm.
this seems so unattainable to me. It really did. Because again, people, places, things, mindset.
That's right.
And so at the time, I told my mom the amount of money that I wanted to make. And it's funny when I think of what I told my mom I wanted to make, I laugh now, like, that's funny. And she said, well, where you gonna get that from? So I think I might have applied all at home. I was at home, still had my apartment, but I stayed home. I went home. And from my mother's bedroom, I must have applied to 100 jobs, Miss Janelle. I mean, I must have applied to 100 jobs. And in applying to those jobs, nobody called me back for like a week. And I was on medical leave because I had got my doctor to write me out of work because I was like, I can't do it. And so while I was waiting to get further clearance to get extended time off from work, I got this phone call back from Philly. And it was this lady, she called me, was on the phone and everything. And she was like, would you like to come in for an interview tomorrow? And I was like, okay, cool. And then she's like, it's in, Philly and everything. And I'm like, now it's go time, right? It's go time. Me and my mom got in my car the next day. My mom drove with me to the interview, right? Only child problems.
I can relate. I'm only child as well.
Yes, only child problems. We get in the car and I told my mom, it's okay, sit here. We drove 2.5 hours up. I said, okay, I'll be right back. My mom was in the car for 3 hours, Miss Janelle.
Wow.
That's how well the interview went. By the time we got through the bridge, the tunnel, I was getting a call back from her. You got the job. When she told me the salary, not only was it was what I told my mom, it was more. And then she offered me an apartment to go with it. Now it's go time. Now it's go time, right? It's go time. And it's scary time because, whoa, this is really a thing.
And that was the question I was about to ask. Because I'm not going to interrupt you, girl. You got this thing. You did it afraid.
Miss Janelle.
And how many, what were the voices? What did the voice or the voices in your head sound like while you were in motion? Because you clearly stayed in motion.
Well, oh, Miss Janelle, you're gonna make me cry because, oh my gosh.
You have worked up with you.
Because I always go back to that time. So my sisters, I have a set of, Raquel and Raquel, they're my best friends, but I call them my sisters. Okay, they my babies, right? We grew up together, kindergarten. You couldn't get more sisters than blood, like they my sisters. I remember telling them that I was leaving and going, and they were like, what? Philly? It was one of those things like, and Philly sounds so far away from home, right?
Yeah.
When you first say it's like, and I remember Rakia, she was just like, it was that reaction first. My son's father, the oldest one, was like, what? Like everybody was kind of like,
where did this come from? Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Right. And so that kind of makes you kind of be like, oh, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? But it was my mom. It was my dad. It was my aunts. It was my uncle who was like, go, this is what you need. And Miss Janelle, I literally went to Philly with 2 pairs of shoes and
Wow.
4 outfits and $500. Okay. I remember walking across, so my mom lives on West Washington Street, and my car was parked on the parking lot in front of Stanton Center. I went up there on September the 28th. I had given all my furniture away in my parking lot. My oldest son went with his father, and my youngest son stayed with my mother. And I went there because, of course, I had to, just say my last goodbyes. And my mother went to hug me. And I went to walk outside to walk to my car. And I knew that my mother was watching me. And if I would have turned around, I would have never went to Philly. Because if I would have turned around to see her in that door watching me go, I wouldn't have left. Because I knew she was crying. The way that she hugged me, she was basically like, okay, go. Because
like, I'm gonna break down. I can let your ass go. You better go now. One of those hugs.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes. And oh my gosh, Miss Janelle, I must have cried for the first, probably till I got up past the tunnel again. Like it was one of those things like it's over. Everything that you knew is over. And it was over. And I came there with pretty much nothing because I said $500. Girl, why the next day my son needed $250? Like it was like, wait a minute. Wait.
Wow.
So, it was literally one of those things like, damn. So I literally came up here with nothing, and we was going to make it do what it was going to do. And within 4 years, it don't look like that no more.
And it's been 4 years.
It'll be 4 years in September.
How often do you have to pinch yourself?
Oh my gosh. So the first time I pinched myself was when I got my first paycheck.
Now I was coming around the mountain with that question. Like, what did it feel like when that first direct deposit hit?
The first one, I was like, I ain't gonna lie. The first couple months, I acted a fool. I
of course.
I blew a bag. I was up in Saks Fifth, like, I was acting real ridiculous. I think it probably showed on social media too. Like, I mean, it was ridiculous. I was on a helicopter. It was ridiculous.
Come on,
okay, because I was having a good time, right? But again, as you grow, what looks like something or what success looks like changes. Because you start to rub elbows with people who really have it. And you realize that what you have been predispositioned to think having it looks like, it doesn't look like that at all.
All right.
And that makes your focus change, right? Also, too, being up here, I could be the low man on the totem pole. I could learn. I could be mentored, and I'm still being mentored today. I'm learning from all of these people who are in positions that one day I am going to be in. And they're women, they're Black women, they're white women, and it's okay to say, I'm not there yet. Teach me. Pour into me because I want to be like you. And so when you're climbing to the top, because I'm not at the top yet, right? I'm still getting there. You're looking at everybody around and you're realizing people aren't spending excessively. We're preparing for a recession. We're actually preparing for a depression. And so, things don't really go like this. Chill out, bag back a little bit, so success looks a lot different to me right now. It's not the same, and that has changed as, again, I grow in my self-esteem and my worth that looks a lot different to me. Success now is I'm home and I'm kicked back and I'm chilling.
Mm. Come on, Kendall, how old are you?
Ooh, I'm 37 and a half.
My God. No, you didn't add the half in. No, you didn't have that. Let me ask you this. One of the things, and I got me a whole bunch of kids and stuff too, and they are in their mid to late 20s. My daughter will actually be 30 this year. And I had to explain to them, well, I actually let me keep it all the way real. I had to explain this shit to myself that I feel like I was like issuing goals and directives to them. Do this, don't be like me, do this, don't be like me. And I had to realize, first of all, my 20s were drastically different from theirs. Like by 23, I had given birth to 5 and buried 1. And I had no choice but to, oh no, I got to get it. They didn't, they weren't necessarily parents or anything, yet they were doing what 20-year-olds, should do. But one of the things that I learned, or one of the things I believe, is that the 20s are for the lessons. It's for learning. It's not to have us people with the gray hair telling you the do's and the don'ts. It's actually, no, you got to let the birdies, you have to let them fly. And I feel like 30s is when you kind of come in for the landing and say, okay, how should I apply all the shit, good and bad, from my 20s? And then I believe like your 40s and your 50s are where wisdom sets in. Now that you are on the 40 side of 30, in case nobody told you that, I'm gonna go ahead and put it there. Since you put that half, since you were on the 40 side of 30 and you look back to everything that you experienced in your 20s and well into your 30s, how has we'll go right into what you just said. Your view of success has changed. Based on how it looked in your 20s and now as you, like I said, are settling into like your late 40s, what is, if you could sprinkle anything back to 20-year-old Kendall, what would it be?
I think it would be that I would tell myself, or I would advise myself in my 20s, nobody cares. Nobody cares what you got. Nobody cares about your shoes. Nobody cares about your clothes. They didn't already forgot. Like literally nobody cares. All right, just save it. They don't care. You don't even care after a while.
That's right.
Like seriously, like after I would say, time with family is important. Like, in my 20s, I've been a mom since 16, right? So my whole thing was with success for me, I wanted to prove that I wasn't going to be a statistic. I didn't want to, I wanted to, show, just because I have a son that, this young age, I had him at 17. So just because I'm a teen mom, I can still do this. I actually overachieved this. Everything was about trying to prove a point. I would tell my younger self, nobody cares. Whatever it is that you're going to do, make sure you're going to do it for you and you only. Seriously, because even your children at the time, they don't care. They don't give a damn. My kids don't.
Like, girl, whatever. Like, go ahead.
Go ahead. They don't care. They don't. A lot of people say, oh, everything I do is for my kids. Sorry for you.
That's right.
That's what you're doing. Everything is for your kids. You should probably do something else.
That's right.
Because they don't care.
Right. That was actually one of the greatest lessons that one of my girlfriends passed on to me a while back. She was like, girl, let me tell you something. Me first, then you. She said, you put that on repeat in your head as it relates to those babies, as it relates to the people, places, and things. It has to be you first. It has to be first.
Because Miss Chanel, it trickles down to them. They don't want no unhappy mama. Like they don't thrive off of that. And I'm two different people from who I was raising my oldest son to who I am raising my second son. I am not that person, and again, that goes back to your question about success. With my first son, I was so, into, you got to look nice. You got to do this. You got to have this on. You got to do this. My second son, you got to look nice if we going somewhere. But for the most part, he's a bum.
Yeah.
whole bomb. You got your Crocs on.
That's
You know,
right.
we chilling.
But I'm gonna co-sign with you, because even when I think back with my daughter, I got pregnant at 18, had her at 19. But for like my circle, or the ones that surrounded it, who were also young mothers, they didn't know, they couldn't pass anything on to me. You know what I mean? And as the only child, like, my mother was like, girl, I'm learning with you. But my thought was, I had to be able to provide materials. Like, no, I got to be able to get to certain shoes. And I'm stressing myself out, half broke, couldn't do it, felt horrible. And then I kind of realized, as they kept coming, I'm like, okay, so I can't afford all of that, but I guess I need to just keep them safe, and I need to, okay, just keep them close. That's the best I can do. And then as I started to learn me and learn more, and, try to figure out the motherhood thing, I realized I spent so much energy and time into beating myself up and looking at all the ways that I couldn't provide on the outside, that I don't think I necessarily did all the pouring on that, on the inside. I don't think that, which is why I think that a lot of us, and you ain't got to worry about this no time soon, but I feel like most of us who were younger moms, we make amazing grandparents, because we get to go back and look at all that we missed. We get to see that, okay, all right, let me fix this part.
Yes. I hope I don't have to worry about that.
You will not.
Anytime soon, because I just don't have the capacity to babysit. I just don't want to do that. So I hope that he really thinks twice before signing me up for that role, because I will be that grandmother on the daddy side.
Like, hey, come on over around Christmas, and if I remember your birthday, that part.
Yes, visitation in a public space, please.
That's it. That's all. So right now in your full-time, because I know you wear quite a few professional hats. So full-time is property management, correct?
No, so, geez.
Okay.
I used to be a property manager full-time. My current role is a GM for UPenn's luxury housing entity. So I am the GM over what I call them Twin Cities, but I take care of their luxury housing division, which houses their lawyers, their doctors, their patients who come in for large procedures, cancer, radiation, all of those things. And so those residents, they do need high level accommodations, and they come in anywhere from 6 weeks up to 2 years.
Wow.
So we do everything. It's like a residential hotel. So we provide everything, Miss Chanel, down to the towels.
Wow.
So that is what I do full time. However, I do wear another hat for my investors, which I am the asset developer. And in that role,
now we start this way. Come on with it, girl.
Yes, and so in that role, I actually assist with the acquisitions and the dispositions of any and all commercial developments. And commercial developments, they actually consist in any multi-unit, and I only deal with anything 150 units or more. So that consists of me leasing them up, getting them occupied 95.2%, and then disposition in them, which means selling them. And I have done that a total of 8 times in 4 years. I have successfully, and the thing about it is, I did not come up here to do that. I actually came here to be a lease up property manager. That was the role that I came here to do. And within 90 days, I was promoted to be a senior community manager. And then 90 days from that, I was a regional. And in being a regional, we ended up selling the entire portfolio. And in that portfolio, I had Grant, Kelly, Palmer West. There were 4 that I sold. And after we sold it, it was a total of $68 million that we sold that first entire portfolio for. And I remember posting, and it was 3 of us. It was 3, and I was the only Black woman on the team. I was the only Black woman. And after that, my life took an entirely different role.
Yeah.
It has just become remarkably blessed because of all of the people that I have met in doing this, the training, the knowledge, the networking opportunities, being able to travel to Miami, Connecticut, all of these things. And Miss Chanel, I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And I posted about it for many years. I've gone all the way to Missouri, not Missouri, but to Minnesota to lease. I've gone to Texas to lease, but never in the capacity to actually sell an entire community. I remember going to award ceremonies to receive awards for, these award-winning properties, but now I'm behind the scenes actually, coordinating these events. And it's really just because this don't stop.
That's right.
We not stopping. We're not stopping. The investors that bought me here, my affinity to them, my loyalty to them, of course, it's not all because of the money, but because they've given me the opportunity.
Yeah.
They've given me an opportunity to grow as a Black woman, and they're two Jewish men, and they get on my nerves. But they're literally, oh my gosh, they're the first person. One of them is the first person that calls me in the morning, and then one is the last person I speak to at night. It's quite interesting. And what we do is literally we find these distressed properties, we lease them up, and we sell them. And we repeat, and it's slow money. It's absolutely slow money. We 3 years to do it, but when it comes, it pays off, right? The summertime is very busy. It's critical because after September, it's flat, right?
Yeah.
It's a slow time, but that's fine because my second son, he's different. He needs all of my time, and I have to be at every event. I have to look directly at him at all times. So, so summertime, he goes with my mom for the summer, and it's a 24-hour grind.
Yeah.
Yep. So those are the hats that I wear. My phones are constantly ringing. These properties are very intense. We had a murder at one a couple of weeks ago. We're in the city. There are drug raids. There are things that are going on. Miss Chanel, I'm a small time girl. Okay, I'm not used to all of this nonsense. I thought that I was used to drug dealing. You couldn't tell me nothing, okay?
Right,
In town, eating for all.
Come on now.
Bubble gum. We ain't about none of that.
Yes.
I saw a real live kidnapping and throw in a trunk. Okay, I was done.
My God. Now honestly speaking, the first time, I've been through Philly when I was going to pick my son up from a county facility because he done got his ass in some trouble out in Pennsylvania. But my first time actually being in Philly was weekend before last for the Roots picnic. And
one of my properties is right around the corner.
And let me tell you, it was I was so excited. I was okay, New York is my first favorite city, but I like Philly. I told my girlfriends, and we all agreed. I said, the men, the beds and stuff. I'm like, hey, auntie, what I mean? That was all cute. But the women are different. It's a different vibe. Like you say, we used to we think that, in the Naptown girl something that happened, whole neighborhood, everybody knew everybody. It's a different energy. It made me I couldn't walk around on my big girl shit. I'm like, okay, it humbled me. It really humbled me. I said, excuse me to every girl. They didn't have to be near me. I'm like, excuse me, I ain't want no problems. So I take my hat off with that. I'm like, G.A.W.D is just different, but I loved it. And my daughter, she was all for it. Was like, girl, I'm gonna be coming to Philly by myself. I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. She was like, girl, it's fine.
Miss Janelle, she's gonna be fine. But I think when I first got up here, I was like, howdy. She's gonna be fine. Listen, when I first got up here, I was like, howdy. And I still do say that, but it's a little bit like howdy.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. It's a lot different. I remember I bought my boyfriend's sister to Annapolis, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm about to punch somebody in the after." I was like, "Whoa, wait!"
What happened?
I took her to Armadillo.
Oh, now that'll make anybody want to swing. Like it's yeah, the energy, the crowd, the the people, just I'm with her on that. I'm with her on that.
But again, Annapolis, that's another thing. Growing up in Annapolis, you don't realize how racially charged it is
Yes, it
until
is.
you leave. You
Yes.
know, up here, you have Black women, Black men, where everybody getting it. You have, listen, I remember, and this is mind-boggling to me, and I'm embarrassed to say this. I truly am. But when I first got here, I remember, because I told you I came here as a lease-up property
Mm-hmm.
manager, and the rents when I first got here, to me, they sounded very high when I was saying them, because I was like, also too, back in Annapolis, I worked at a predominantly white community where mostly white people were only able to pay that amount of money.
Yeah.
Back in Annapolis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get up here and it's, the rent is more than what I was used to quoting back home, but now my demographic looks like me.
Mm.
I'm programmed to think, oh, they can't afford this. And
Yep.
that hurt me because Annapolis teaches us some really, negative thought processes about ourselves.
That is
And it is the truth. And we should not, because when I was processing those, those income documents, they was getting it. Okay. And that's common up here. All right. That's common here. You have people, women who own businesses up here, and nobody's looking at each other like it's a problem or it's a competition. It's so big. Nobody knows me. Nobody cares. There's nobody to say, oh, I'm not going to Kendall because such and such, because nobody knows you.
That's right.
There's nobody here that's going to hate on you and not support you because it's just too big. And that's where I start talking about back home, why it was important for me. I said people, places, things, places. I felt suffocated at home. I felt at times I could not breathe at home. I felt like I could not get to my full potential because I could only stop here. When you leave your hometown and there is no expectation, there's no perception, there's no glass wall, nobody cares. You can do whatever you need to do to get to wherever you need to get. And I am truly an example of that. It took me to only go just 2.5 hours away to feel like I was on a whole nother stratosphere. And it really was only just 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
And it did.
Like you said, you release it, because the thing is, and when I was listening to you talk, even when you had that vulnerable, transparent conversation with your mother on the bed, like, look, I'm tired, I'm out of it. Like, you absolutely issued a call out into the universe, and God was like, what's up? All right, let's get this thing going. Like, sometimes it really takes us, first of all, telling the truth to ourselves. And it's not easy, especially, again, like I love a nap. And I'm up 97. You know what I mean? So I'm still very attached to that. So my family is there. But I believe that there is this hold you down energy. You know what I mean? I don't even want to call it the crabs in the barrel, because most of them don't even have the strength and the energy to do that shit. But it's this, no, you got to stay within this. And it's not always like, friends or social circles, sometimes within family, because everybody is rooted there. It's like, you going where? Oh, no, do that. So the blessing in your mother being like, okay, like, I'm certain you felt your wings flap in that moment. Like, wait a minute, hold up. Like, you with it? You with it?
Oh, my mom, Miss Janelle, my mom is funny. My mom always said that I didn't belong. She always, my aunt, Like you don't belong here. It was
Yeah.
even before I said that I was leaving. I was always, it was always thought that I wouldn't be in Annapolis. I would even say, and I can remember saying to my friends, like, I'm not going to stay here. I'm leaving. But it was just, talk. I didn't have a
Yeah.
plan. It was just something to say. And don't get me wrong, I love home. I'm around
Right.
home till the day I die. When
Yeah.
I come home, I feel at home. I love going to get ice cream at Storm Brothers. I
Come
love
on.
all of it.
That's
I love
right.
all of it. Give me a good go-go. I'm about to back
Yes.
that thing
Yes.
up.
Yes.
Listen, I love all of it. But for me, I needed to see what else was out there.
Yeah.
I needed to go beyond those parameters to figure out. I needed to isolate in order to elevate. And that was very important for me because, like I told you before this recording started, it trips me out when people say I'm motivating them or, this, because that's not what I set out to do. I have no intention of, people say all the time, I want to help people. No, I didn't. Sorry. I had
Right.
no intention of helping the community or being an activist. Not my thing. I
That's right.
only wanted to make money, right? But in doing so, I was able to still help other people, whether it was with a financial blessing, whether it was with some type of knowledge that I learned along the way, whether it was to help somebody with a leasing question, a landlord question, with a job, a resume. I'm always able to give back, even if that wasn't what I set out to do. God is still using me to do that.
That's right.
So I have to still answer my calling because I'm a servant of God. So in order to continue to do that, I have to go where he tells me to go. And he told me to leave home to be a blessing to home.
That's right. I'm so glad you listen. I always tell my children, I've been talking shit for 40 plus years. I'm leaving. But as I get closer to 50, I'm like, it's not I'm leaving comma. It's I'm leaving, period. So that was the reason why I was like, okay, yes, I want to share Kendall's knowledge with everybody, but this shit is selfish for real because I was like, I know that I'm going to receive a bevy of things that are going to get me charged up to say, and it's possible. You know what I mean? Even for this old bird. So I appreciate it. Kendall, what's next for Kendall? Or what's currently in motion?
Oh my gosh. So, there, sheesh, I don't need, this is crazy, right? So real estate, getting into this industry really was by accident. This is not something that I was supposed to do. Although my 5th grade class would say otherwise, because I wrote this speech in 5th grade and it said I was going to own a lot of I think it said a lot of houses and I was going to drive a red car and I was going to have a lot of money. Like the power of the tongue is real.
Come
And
on
one
now.
of my one of my classmates, Michael Stanford, I'm putting you out there. He told me when he saw me, he's like, "Remember that time you wrote that speech and you said all that?" And I did. I said all of these things in 5th grade, right? So in my own little way, I had manifested my life, right?
Yeah, you did.
I did, and I picked out my car, and it's not red, but the insides are red. So that's funny, right? So, and I don't have that car yet, but I'm still manifesting it. But listen, real estate was accidental. I only got in this field because I wanted a housing discount because I was a single mom, right? And this turned into something much, much more, right? So what I'm doing right now is I'm fine-tuning my skills, right? Next week, I am hosting a national event here in Philly, along with several other people called Apartmentalize. It is our very first national event here in Philly. We are expecting 12,000 people to be here. And it is over. So check me out next week on my stories. It's going to be crazy.
Sitting my meddling ass there, look.
It's going to be crazy. And in this, I'm pretty much going to be networking because network is your net worth. Because my next goal is to own my own apartment buildings.
Okay, now.
Under my LLC, which is Kenray Properties. I don't want to manage them. I just want to own them. And what my goal is, and I'm going to share this with you because I am very, very motivated. Although luxury living has been wonderful for me, it absolutely has, carved out a lifestyle for me to be able to provide. I'm still very much moved for affordable. It bothers me when I hear the stories back home, how people are treated in public housing, how landlords are not privy to accept people with housing vouchers. Those things bother me. So what I want to do is I want to create a program that takes vouchers without all the nonsense.
Wow.
I want to get homes specifically for people with vouchers where you're not going to be ostracized because you have a voucher. Those are my next steps in apartments or in real estate. But I do have other aspirations. I used to own I call it an alternative coffee shop.
Yes, indeed. You did. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so I still have my hands in cannabis. So I do, but I'm not ready to share that just yet.
Okay.
But the key to success is to always have multiple streams of income.
Kendall, you need to do a workshop. Like, I understand, like, the hustle heads are on. You got the investors and the general management and all of that, but the amount of game that you have, I don't even know how long we've been on here. I don't lost time.
I'm sorry.
Hour. No, we are on the money with it. But for the last 56 minutes, the amount of game, this is the information that people pay for. You know what I mean? And see, and this is my thing. Like, a lot of us want, gimme. No, I believe that people take themselves more serious, or they take the information more serious when they got to pay for it. Like, we are so quick to be, let me give you game. No, I had to work to get the game, and you're going to have to pay me to get it. But I am telling you, I don't know if you've ever considered it, but you could host an amazing workshop and bring in the same amount of 12,000 people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's just your flair, the energy, you are relatable. You speak in what, like, when I say relatable, like, everybody from being a young mom to, okay, I'm afraid and I feel suffocated. And okay, hold on, let me square these shoulders. And hold on, I got wings. Oh, I'm flying. You know what I mean? And the seats at the table have changed for you. You know what I mean? You got old dude calling you in the morning to talk money. You got dude calling you at night to talk money. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I'm gonna need you to go ahead and execute that workshop in your free time.
Listen,
if it exists, but you need to do that.
Miss Janelle, anything back home would be free for me. Just so you know that anything back home, because I feel like we have always been lacking in services for us to move forward as a people, and that's not by coincidence.
Okay.
That is by design.
That's right.
And I want to say those two men that I work for, those Jewish men, they done put me on to some game, right? And I feel that those experiences, they don't want us to know these things. There are different things that I have been privy to that I tell my friends, like, I found out an S&P 500 account. I would have never known what that was, and it changes your life. These are things, these are financial tools that you need to know about. These are things that you need to teach your children about. These are things that are life-changing, wealth-building opportunities that when you close your eyes, your children are set.
That's right.
Why don't we know those things? Why don't we know those things? That's not by coincidence. And that's why we are always, like you said, you can't call it a crab barrel. You can't really call it a crab barrel because we don't know enough to keep each other down. We just trying to keep each other safe from the unknown. We don't know.
Yep. That's right. And back home can be free, but you're going like national and international.
Oh, so yeah. Miss Chanel, I'm gonna get my money. out
Come on.
here.
Yeah, they got to run that. They have to run it. They have to run it. Kendall, this has been amazing. Like I said, I have retained so much. I got game. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with it, but I'm doing something. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Hang on with me for a moment, but y'all, this has been the God Hour episode 2. Kendall, you want to shout anybody out?
Oh my gosh. I guess I just want to shout out my mom, hi Kimmy, and my dad, Ken Barnard, and I love you, and Aunt Cheryl and Aunt Gria and Uncle Greg. Mwah. Oh yeah, and my kids, y'all.
There you go. The kid, the kids.
The kids. Ugh.
Oh, this is episode 2. Kendall done laid the game down. Thank you so much, dear. I'm so grateful for you. I appreciate you. Hang with
You
me for a
too.
moment. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.